All right, welcome. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Establishing a Path to Biliteracy with the Biliteracy Pathways Recognition webinar, brought to you by the California Department of Education, or CDE, Multilingual Support Division, or MSD. In the chat, please feel free to introduce yourself and the organization that you represent. My name is Gina Garcia-Smith, and I'm an Education Programs Consultant in the MSD. I support the State Seal of Biliteracy program, and I'm excited to be launching the Biliteracy Pathway Recognition program to create a pathway to multilingual learners towards biliteracy and to ensure that the home language skills that dual language learners and English learners bring to California classrooms are celebrated and recognized as the assets that they are. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to do a little Zoom housekeeping. Please note that your microphone will remain muted throughout the meeting. Please use the chat feature and the Q&A to ask questions and share ideas. Since this is a webinar format, these are the only ways to share during today's webinar. A moderator will let the presenter know when there are questions. Presenters will develop and post frequently asked questions, or FAQs, after the webinar. We may not be able to address all of the questions during the webinar, but we will still provide answers to any questions we are unable to address through the FAQs. This webinar is being recorded and will be provided to participants or posted at a later date. All webinar materials are available at https://bit.ly/biliteracy pathway webinar. I would like to thank my colleague Lori Kelling, who will be sharing links with you in the chat and assisting with the Q&A. Today, the webinar, to begin the webinar, we will be welcomed by CDE leadership. After that, I will provide an overview of the program focusing on its purpose, structure, and terminology. Then I will review the criteria for the 3 biliteracy pathway recognitions: the biliteracy program participation recognition, the home language development recognition, and the biliteracy attainment recognition. Next, I will cover logistical information, including how local educational agencies, or LEAs, can participate, and resources that can support implementing a program. Finally, we will end with time for questions and answers. Again, if we don't get to all of your questions, we will address additional questions with FAQs at a later date. Now, we will begin with a welcome from CDE leadership. I would like to introduce Sarah Neville-Morgan, the Deputy Superintendent of the Opportunities for All branch, to welcome you and provide an overview of California's work to support multilingual learners. Welcome, Sarah.
Thanks so much, Gina, and welcome everyone. California is home to the largest population of multilingual learners in the nation. More than 2.3 million California public school students speak a language other than English at home. This includes dual language learners, or young children who are learning their home language as well as English, and English learners, or students enrolled in transitional kindergarten through grade 12 public school system who are learning English and also bring the asset of a home language to school. Dual language learners, English learners, and other multilingual learners are an asset to California as they help build California's linguistic and cultural diversity and also help us create an internationally competitive future workforce. California is committed to celebrating our linguistic and cultural diversity. In 2017, the California State Board of Education unanimously approved the California English Learner, or EL Roadmap policy, affirming this commitment. The EL Roadmap policy sets a vision for California to ensure English learners experience an aligned, articulated, and asset-based approach from early childhood through grade 12 that provides them with a 21st century education and opportunities to develop proficiency in multiple languages. This vision of multiliteracy was further strengthened when California voters overwhelmingly approved the California Education for a Global Economy, or California EDGE initiative. The purpose of the California EDGE is to ensure all children in California public schools receive the highest quality education, master the English language, and access high-quality, innovative, and evidence-based language programs that prepare them to participate in a global economy. Before the passage of the California EDGE initiative, instruction for English learners focused on what these students were missing in terms of English proficiency, known as a deficit-based approach. The California EDGE initiative moved California towards an asset-based approach by providing parents with the choice to enroll their children in a bilingual or multilingual instructional program, and by allowing parents to request a bilingual or multilingual program if one was not currently available. This initiative, when coupled with the EL Roadmap Policies vision, will ensure more California students have the opportunity to develop biliteracy or multiliteracy. To keep us on track as we work towards the goal of expanding biliteracy and multiliteracy, California developed the Global California 2030 initiative, which sets ambitious goals to expand biliteracy and multiliteracy. This initiative calls for half of our transitional kindergarten through 12th grade students to participate in programs leading to proficiency in 2 or more languages, and for 3 out of 4 students to earn the state seal of biliteracy upon graduation from high school by 2040. Since this initiative came into effect, California has continued to work to ensure that we will meet these goals. The California Department of Education is also currently working on preschool to 3rd grade, or P3 alignment. Centering the needs of young dual language learners is an important part of this work. Like other opportunity gaps, the academic challenges that some dual language learners and English learners face are best addressed early. Research has demonstrated positive impacts of preschool that are as strong or stronger for young DLLs and children of immigrants than for other children, especially when those early learning experiences are high quality and intentionally support home language development. We are very excited by the opportunities created by California's launch of universal preschool through expansion of TK to serve all 4-year-old children as a means to support our multilingual learners. The P3 alignment effort aligns with our EL roadmap policy, which promotes an assets-oriented approach and encourages educators to see multilingual learners as the assets they are, and to provide them with opportunities to develop multilingualism wherever possible. This work supports the EL Roadmap's policy goal of alignment and articulation within and across systems, allowing young dual language learners to experience a coherent and articulated pathway from preschool through 3rd grade and beyond. Finally, State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tony Thurmond, just announced a new literacy initiative in September 2021 to ensure that all California students learn to read by 3rd grade by the year 2026. State Superintendent Thurmond recognizes that any literacy effort must include biliteracy. To that end, the effort will also include a biliteracy milestone for dual language learners. Together, the EL Roadmap, California EDGE Initiative, P3 Alignment Effort, and New Literacy Initiative will ensure California's multilingual learners have the opportunity to develop biliteracy or multiliteracy. California is committed to embracing multilingual learners and creating an articulated path to developing biliteracy or multiliteracy that will help our students and our state prosper. The new biliteracy pathway recognition that you will hear about today are yet another step that California is taking to affirm our commitment to the importance of biliteracy and multiliteracy. I am excited to affirm California's ongoing commitment to this work and look forward to partnering with all of you to ensure California's multilingual learners thrive. Before I hand this off to Alicia, I just want to thank our team at the California Department of Education who really rallied and led the fact that we needed something beyond the state seal of biliteracy to ensure that we could move forward with the biliteracy pathway recognitions. And Gina, I want to make sure I do a special thank you for you, because I know that you carry the torch everywhere you go to make sure that we continue these efforts. So thank you, team. And Alicia, I hand it over to you, I think.
Thank you, Sarah. And I want to echo that appreciation to Gina for her leadership on this project. We appreciate, Sarah, you providing an overview for California's ongoing work to support multilingual learners. I'm excited to announce the California Department of Education Multilingual Support Division's next step in moving California's vision of multiliteracy forward. The Biliteracy Pathway Recognition are an optional program to recognize preschool through grade 8 students who are on the path to developing biliteracy or multiliteracy. Local educational agencies, or LEAs, that want to build an articulated pathway to biliteracy or multiliteracy can implement this recognition program and customize it to fit their local needs and program model. This program will work well for LEAs with multilingual programs that want to encourage students to seek out the state seal of biliteracy upon high school graduation. Just as important, this program will help LEAs recognize students that have the asset of a home language other than English, whether or not they decide they are to enroll in multilingual programs. Dual language learners, English learners, and other multilingual learners who speak a language other than English at home are an important asset to California schools and should be recognized for their work toward developing biliteracy or multiliteracy. Encouraging students who speak another language at home will continue to develop their home language proficiency, will help them see their home language as the valuable gift that it is, and will encourage parents and caregivers to continue to support their children in developing home language proficiency. This program can also help raise awareness about the California State Seal of Biliteracy and ensure that students who are on the path to developing biliteracy or multiliteracy are aware of the award before they enter high school, ensuring they have plenty of time to prepare to meet its rigorous requirements. As a former bilingual teacher and multilingual literacy coach, I know the value of biliteracy and multiliteracy. This program can help facilitate an assets-based approach that celebrates biliteracy and multiliteracy. And as a former monolingual English speaker in a bilingual classroom as a young child, and later an individual who strove to develop biliteracy proficiency in Spanish, this initiative sits close to my heart. Watching my classmates grow their superpowers toward biliteracy and biculturalism served as inspiration for my own path. I am thrilled to lead the Multilingual Support Division as we continue to move California's vision of biliteracy and multiliteracy forward and continue to ensure that California's multilingual learners receive a 21st century education and opportunities to develop proficiency in multiple languages. Thank you all for joining us today. Together, we will pave the way for a multilingual California.
Thank you so much, Sarah and Alicia. I really appreciate your welcome. So we're going to next talk about a little overview of the Biliteracy Pathway Recognition Program. So the purpose of this program is to recognize preschool, kindergarten, elementary, and middle school students who have demonstrated progress toward proficiency in speaking, listening, reading, and writing in one or more languages in addition to English. Just as the State Seal of Biliteracy recognizes high school graduates who have achieved a high level of literacy in one or more languages in addition to English, this program provides recognition to students who are on the path to biliteracy at key segments along their educational journey. In addition to the overall purpose, there are several other goals that this program hopes to achieve. These include to encourage students to study languages, continue their language study, and become multilingual, to raise awareness about the State Seal of Biliteracy requirements and ensure that multilingual students have the information they need to meet these requirements and earn the State Seal of Biliteracy upon graduation from high school, to certify progress toward biliteracy, and to prepare students with 21st century skills. Goals also include to recognize and promote world language instruction in public schools, to strengthen intergroup relationships, affirm the value of diversity, and honor the multiple cultures, histories, and languages of the community, and to implement Principle 1 and 4 of the English Learner or EL Roadmap policy by creating an aligned and articulated pathway to multilingualism that embraces students' home and community languages and cultures as assets. The Biliteracy Pathway recognitions are an optional program and participation is voluntary. LEAs may customize the criteria to fit their local needs and to ensure that the criteria reflects the program goals. Unlike the State Seal of Biliteracy, this program is not established in California Education Code, and therefore the criteria are suggested only and may be modified. The CDE provides optional criteria, guidance, and certificate templates as a resource. LEAs may choose to use or modify the materials provided. No student information must be submitted to the CDE in order to participate. LEAs should keep records locally. The biliteracy pathway recognitions may be awarded in any world language in addition to English, including Indigenous languages, languages without a written system, and American Sign Language or ASL. So what do students earn who meet these recognitions criteria? Each student who meets the requirements may be awarded a certificate. These are different certificates for each recognition. Some schools or districts may choose to create their own certificate or provide another form of recognition in addition or instead of these. On this slide, images of each of the 3 recognitions are pictured. Each certificate includes a place for the LEA to add their logo. Each certificate also includes a space for the school year, student name, grade level in which the student earned the recognition, language in which the student earned the recognition, and a space for 2 people from the LEA who are awarding the certificate, perhaps the teacher and principal, to add their names and titles. The QR code pictured on each certificate links to the CDE State Seal of Biliteracy webpage so that students who are developing biliteracy and their families can get the information that they need about the State Seal of Biliteracy to prepare for this recognition early. As we look at the criteria today, it is important to note that the terminology used throughout is consistent with the world languages standards and framework. For the purposes of this program, the term world language is used to refer to all languages used in the world, including Indigenous languages, languages without a written system, and ASL. English is also a world language, but the world language criteria listed for each recognition refers to the world language in addition to English. It is important to ensure that all students have access to the biliteracy pathway recognitions, including underserved populations and students with disabilities. All students, including English learners, students with disabilities, and English learners with disabilities can benefit from opportunities to develop multilingualism. For more information on serving English learners with disabilities, see the CDE California Practitioner's Guide for Educating English Learners with Disabilities at https://www.cde.ca.gov/sp/se/ab2785guide.pdf. For more information on parent and family engagement, see the CDE Parent and Family webpage at https://www.cde.ca.gov/ls/pf/pf. The links to these web pages are provided in the chat. The 3 biliteracy pathway recognitions available are the Biliteracy Program Participation Recognition, the Home Language Development Recognition, and the Biliteracy Attainment Recognition. The Biliteracy Program Participation Recognition is available to students enrolled in programs leading to biliteracy in preschool, kindergarten, elementary, and middle school. As a participation recognition, this award is provided to all students enrolled in the program and is not based on the student's proficiency. This recognition is an entry on the path to biliteracy or multiliteracy. The Home Language Development Recognition is available to emergent bilingual students with a home language other than English in preschool, kindergarten, elementary, and middle school. This recognition is provided to students who demonstrate that they are continuing to develop the home language by engaging in age-appropriate activities in the home language. This recognition is an entry on the path to biliteracy or multiliteracy. The Biliteracy Attainment Recognition is available to students at the end of elementary school. The grade level depends on the program model, usually either grade 5 or 6, and the end of middle school. Again, the grade level depends on the program model, usually grade 8. This recognition is based on proficiency and is awarded to students who meet specific proficiency criteria in English and 1 or more languages in addition to English. This recognition is aligned with the State Seal of Biliteracy requirements and is an indication that if a student continues on this path in high school, they will be prepared to meet the requirements to earn the State Seal of Biliteracy. In the next section, I will go over the criteria for each of these recognitions. Remember, All criteria is optional and suggested and may be modified to fit the LEA's needs or program model and to ensure equity and access for all students. The Biliteracy Pathway Recognition Program was developed with input from the field. The Bilingual Coordinators Network, or BCN, provided input that informed this program's development. The BCN includes representatives from each of the county offices of education, regional English learner specialists, representatives from the 20 largest English learner enrolling districts, and representatives from each of the institutions of higher education that have bilingual teacher preparation programs. Additionally, the EL Roadmap Advisory Committee, a group of educators who help inform EL Roadmap policy implementation statewide, were instrumental in developing this program. Finally, CDE staff and leadership from a variety of divisions provided input. As you know, there are multiple paths to biliteracy. These recognitions provide LEAs with the opportunity to highlight some of these paths and to encourage students to pursue biliteracy or multiliteracy in high school and beyond. If these recognitions do not mesh well with the path to biliteracy established at the LEA, they may be modified, or the LEA may choose to create its own recognition or criteria that better reflects the program model or models offered. For more information on multilingual education, including descriptions of program models, information on the benefits of multilingualism, and parent resources, visit the CDE Multilingual Education webpage at https://www.cde.ca.gov/sp/el/er/multilingualedu.asp. Are there any questions in the chat or Q&A so far? I'm going to just pause for a moment here. And this is an opportunity. If you do have a question, the Q&A is a great place to pop it. The chat works too. And if you see anything, Lori, please do let me know.
Gina, there are questions with respect to templates, with respect to more information about the specifics of each recognition, and I know you'll get that as you move forward.
Thank you. Yes, so those people are anticipating where we're going, which is fantastic. The certificate templates will be available to LEAs when they submit a form online. I'm going to go over the details of that, but you need to submit a form to let us know that you want to participate, and then we will send you the certificate templates and you will have access to those. I'll go over that detail shortly. As far as the criteria, again, I will go over that in just a moment. Do students need to be in a dual language program? I see that question in there. No, not necessarily. For the program participation one, they would need to be enrolled in some kind of a program that leads to multilingualism. Dual language immersion is one option, but there are many, and I'll go over that shortly. For the home language development, they could be in an English only program and earn that, absolutely. And the biliteracy attainment, potentially, depending on, I'll show you the criteria, but it is possible for students to be prepared for that without being enrolled in a multilingual program. Let's see what else we've got here. Please can add criteria to recognitions. Yes, so LEAs can adjust this criteria as they see fit to meet their program model. So this is not in education code, it's not established in law. This is just guidance for you to hopefully make things simpler, but you are welcome to create your own. If some LEAs already have their own local award, and you can still be counted as participating in the Biliteracy Pathway Recognition Program for offering your own local award. We understand that every program model is different and the needs of every student are different. We want to make sure that you are able to customize this criteria to meet your local needs. The multilingual website is not available, it says. We can find that link again and pop it in there. It should work, but maybe it's maybe there was a typo on that one. Any other questions? I think the other ones we'll get to shortly. Let's see. How do we access the certificates? I will be getting to that shortly. You will submit a form to access the certificates. And then how do we identify candidates for number 2? As in the second of the awards, again, I will walk you through the criteria, but locally you're going to be able to make decisions about how to track that and ensure that students are meeting the requirements. That will be a local decision how you want to track that. Great question. Okay. Perfect. There will be more opportunities for questions. So if we didn't get to yours yet, don't worry, we are going to be saving the chat and we'll get to other questions going forward. I think a lot of what you have will be answered as we move forward, and we'll pause again for questions shortly. All right, next, I will go over the suggested criteria for each of the recognitions. Remember, you can customize or adjust criteria as needed. Again, the 3 biliteracy pathway recognitions are the biliteracy program participation recognition, the home language development recognition, and the biliteracy attainment recognition. The detailed criteria for each recognition is available with the materials for today's meeting at https://bit.ly/biliteracy pathway webinar. The link is also in the chat. The first recognition is the Biliteracy Program Participation Recognition. So this recognition is available to all students enrolled in a program leading to biliteracy in preschool, kindergarten, elementary, and middle school. It is a participation recognition provided again to all students enrolled in the program and not based on proficiency, and it is an entry on the path to biliteracy or multiliteracy. I won't go over the criteria in detail as it's very straightforward. If you participate, you get the award. Any student enrolled in any kind of multilingual program can earn this recognition by participating. This could include dual language immersion or DLI, transitional bilingual, developmental bilingual, foreign language experience or FLEX, and foreign language in elementary schools or FLES. The program types are not limited to these, but these are a few of the most common. This would also include students who are enrolled in a community multilingual program, such as a tribal or community center program designed for students recovering a heritage language. Finally, for young preschool dual language learners, any program that exposes students to 2 or more languages would count as a multilingual program for the purposes of this recognition. The next recognition is the Home Language Development Recognition. This recognition is available to emergent bilingual students with a home language other than English in preschool, kindergarten, elementary, and middle school. It's provided to students who demonstrate that they are continuing to develop the home language by engaging in age-appropriate activities in the home language. And again, it is an entry on the path to biliteracy or multiliteracy. Even if a school does not offer a bilingual program or other language program, the school may still recognize students with a home language other than English for their continued work in this language and the asset that it represents with this award. Schools and districts may decide how best to track whether students have met this criteria. For younger children, home language development may be observed during a home visit, for example. Other ways to verify whether students are on track to earn this recognition would be in parent-teacher meetings or by administering a survey to parents. I will walk you through the criteria for the home language development recognition. You can follow along with me by accessing the materials for today's meeting at https://bit.ly/biliteracy pathway webinar. Again, the link is also in the chat. In particular, I would like to show you the section on examples of activities to develop and/or maintain the home language. So this is the document that you can view if you go to that link that Lori has placed in the chat for you. And all of these are organized in a similar way here. So we've got the program overview just in general, and then we've got an overview of the home language development recognition here. I'm not going to read this all to you. I'm just going to scroll through a little bit so you can see what's here. And then we've got for preschool, what it requires is regularly participating in age-appropriate activities in the home language that include listening and speaking and early literacy. And that's the same for each of these. It would just be literacy, so speaking, writing, reading, and listening for all of these. And that's at elementary and middle school. And so this is the part I really wanted to highlight here is there's examples of activities that families could do to ensure that students are continuing to develop the home language. And for each modality, you can see it's organized by modality and also by age of the children. So for younger children, for example, for reading, that could be reading or being read an age-appropriate story or nonfiction text with a caregiver in the home language, recognizing letters or characters in the home language with a caregiver, recognizing or sounding out words or characters in the home language, playing rhyming alphabet or letter character games in the home language, etc. And then for older children, that could look like reading an age-appropriate book, could be fiction or nonfiction, story, comic, recipe, magazine, or other text in the home language, including reading to a younger sibling in the home language. And you'll see that there are ideas for writing, listening, and speaking. And these should be everyday simple things that families can do at home. And there's additional resources here that can also be helpful. So First Five, I wanted to highlight, they have some great resources. The US Department of Education and then Colorín Colorado all have excellent resources that can help families understand some ways to develop the home language in addition to English. The final recognition is the Biliteracy Attainment Recognition. This recognition is available to students at the end of elementary school and at the end of middle school. It is based on proficiency and awarded to students who meet specific proficiency criteria in English and one or more languages in addition to English. It is aligned with the State Seal of Biliteracy requirements, and it indicates that if a student continues on this path in high school, they will be prepared to meet the requirements for the State Seal of Biliteracy. I will now walk you through the criteria for the Biliteracy Attainment Recognition. Again, you can follow along by accessing the materials for today's meeting at https://bit.ly/biliteracy pathway webinar. Again, the link is also in the chat. So as you can see here, we've got the same structure again. So we've got the program overview here, and then the elementary criteria. So you can see that the elementary criteria is separated by elementary English guidance and then elementary world language guidance. So there are several methods to demonstrate English proficiency for elementary students. These would be students in either probably grades 5 or 6. So when they're completing elementary school, whatever the program model might be. So this would be growth in English proficiency demonstrated through one of the following methods. So they could do that through the California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress, or CASP. So they could attain the level demonstrating grade level proficiency on the CASP, or demonstrate growth towards proficiency on the CASP. Method 2 would be a local assessment. So they could attain the level demonstrating proficiency in reading, writing, listening, and speaking in English, or progress towards proficiency as measured by a district assessment. And then option 3 would be the English language proficiency assessments for California, or LPAC. So for English learners, they could attain the level demonstrating English proficiency on the LPAC or any successor test. So if LPAC is updated in any of these grades 1 through 5, or demonstrate growth towards proficiency. And then method 4 is portfolio. So they could demonstrate grade level proficiency or growth towards proficiency in English by submitting a portfolio that includes reading, writing, listening, and speaking in English. And the portfolio requirements are determined by the school, district, or county office of education, but there are some ideas of what they could be here. So the portfolio could include a speech, discussion or debate, oral presentation of an original piece of poetry or creative writing, or a persuasive or informative presentation on a grade level topic, etc. This could be completed through a combination of a written portfolio and performance or discussion element, or could be completed digitally and recorded, for example, as a podcast, TED Talk, or film. So it's really open, whatever works best for the district. And the world language guidance is similar. There's just one assessment option here since there aren't as many assessments for world languages, and that could be a local assessment. So it could be reading, writing, and listening and speaking proficiency in a language in addition to English, or progress towards proficiency as measured by a district assessment. And that should include all the modalities of communication that exist in the language. So reading, writing, listening, and speaking. But if a language does not have all of those modalities, it would just be an assessment on the modalities that do indeed exist in the language. Method 2 would be, again, a portfolio, and it's very similar to the other one. Same kind of thing as English, just a portfolio that shows reading, writing, listening, and speaking proficiency. Middle school is very similar. It's CASP, but for this one, it would be passing the CASP for English language arts or any successor test administered in grade 8 at or above the standard nearly met achievement level. And then for English language arts, coursework would be another option. So you could have the student complete all English language arts requirements for grade 8 with an overall GPA of 2.0 or above in those classes. Another option would be for English learners, the LPAC. So again, attaining the level demonstrating English proficiency on the LPAC, or an increase of 1 level or more from the previous year. Or we have, again, the portfolio option, same idea. And the world language guidance for middle school, again, could be a local assessment that assesses all of the modalities of communication that exist in the language, or a portfolio is another option for this one. I'm going to pause again here now that I've gone over the criteria. Are there any questions? Again, I'm going to pull up the chat and the Q&A. Any questions that we should be answering here? So yeah.
It looks like we have about 4 questions in queue, a couple from the chat and about 2 or 3 in the Q&A.
Perfect. Okay, so I'll start with the Q&A. The guidance on how to participate indicates LEAs are asked to submit an online form. Will the guidance be the same for community-based preschools? Yes, anyone who wants to participate would need to submit a form. And since this is not in California Education Code, like the State Seal of Biliteracy, any school may participate. So this is a wide open participation. So yes, it could be, they would submit a form as well. Would a school be able to receive multiple certificates? Yes. So when you submit your form, you would get access to all 3 certificate templates for all 3 recognitions. And then you could just use the ones that you are planning to award. And that would be your local decision. And again, you have the option to customize those, or you can create your own certificate if these are not working for you. Are these criteria documents available in languages other than English? At this time, they're available only in English, but we would love to translate them. That is going to be available in the future, definitely on our radar to make sure that that gets done. Do you suggest that LEA boards of ed approve the final guidelines for the recognition? That would be your local decision. If that's something that you want to pursue, I think absolutely that could be helpful to make sure that everyone is aware that you're going to be offering this recognition and to bring it forward, but there's no requirement to do that. Which parts of these programs must be approved by a local board of education? I think that's a similar question to the last one. So again, there's no law saying that you need to do this. This is guidance and it is optional, and however you would like to implement it locally is your local decision. The criteria for English proficiency are more specific for middle than elementary school. For example, CASP, ELA newly met. Is there a reason that elementary is less specific? Yes, it is a pathway to biliteracy. Therefore, the expectation is that students are growing in their proficiency with each year. So to be on track to earn the State Seal of Biliteracy in high school would be a lower bar for elementary students than it would be for middle school. We want to continue to see that progress and to see it ramping up as they move forward. So it is aligned with the State Seal of Biliteracy so that we're seeing steps with each grade span. Great question. And now I'm pulling up the chat here. Is there a window for submitting the form? We ask that you submit it annually and by the end of July every year so that we have time to pull that together. So you have time after the end of the school year to submit. And it will be live by the end of November, and you'll have time to put that in anytime between November and July of this year. Well, LEAs need to provide CDE with numbers and types of certificates issued to students. Yes, we are asking for that information so that we can publish this and share it with the field so that we know what kind of biliteracy programs are available and also how many students are earning the biliteracy pathway recognitions. So this is just for informational purposes only so that we can share this widely and we can track our progress as a state towards the goals in the California Global Economy Initiative and the State Seal of Biliteracy progress. If we are ready to use a Seal of Biliteracy in our K-6 elementary school, if we already use a Seal of biliteracy? Do we need to file for an additional home language development recognition? All of this is optional. If you provide a local recognition, you can submit a form and in that indicate we provide a local recognition. We will still count you in our numbers as participating because that is a valid way of participating. If you want to add to that and add another certificate, please feel free, but there is no requirement to do that. That is entirely up to you. Yes, I will explain the form shortly. That's actually where we're going next. So that's a very good anticipatory question for where we're going next in our presentation. All right, there will be another opportunity for Q&A. I'm going to move us forward. Next, I will provide logistical information about how interested LEAs can participate in this program. To participate in the program, LEAs are asked to submit an online form annually. When they submit the form, they will receive digital certificate templates. LEAs can then customize these templates and print them locally and provide them to students at promotion ceremonies, special recognition ceremonies, assemblies, etc. The form and certificates will be available by the end of November in time for the 2021-22 school year. If you are interested in receiving information about when the form and certificate are available, please subscribe to the Multilingual Updates listserv by sending a blank email to join-multilingual-support-division-updates@mlist.cde.ca.gov. You can also check back on the CDE Biliteracy Pathway Recognition's webpage as the form will be posted there. The form that LEAs submit is an online form that includes information on the district and schools participating, the program models, so that could be dual language immersion, heritage language, foreign language experience, etc. The types of biliteracy pathway recognitions being offered, so that could be the biliteracy program participation recognition, the home language development recognition, the biliteracy attainment recognition, and or a local recognition. Also, the number of students receiving the recognition and the languages in which they are being recognized, the number of students being recognized with an individualized education program or IEP, and the number of students being recognized who are current or former English learners for kindergarten through grade 8 programs. The information collected in this form will be used to annually report biliteracy pathway recognition participation. This slide demonstrates where you can locate the participation form. Once the form is live, the picture demonstrates that the form will be located where this image on the screenshot shows. So it's a Biliteracy Pathway Recognition's webpage, indicating that the form is under the Requirements and Forms tab. It will be under the heading Biliteracy Pathway Recognition's Participation Form. At this time, the placeholder for the link says coming soon, and we really do mean soon. It should be up very, very soon. For more information about the biliteracy pathway recognitions, please visit the CDE Biliteracy Pathway Recognitions webpage at https://www.cde.ca.gov/sp/el/er/blit-overview.asp. This webpage contains an overview of the program, CDE and partner resources, including FAQs, a space for participating LEAs to be listed, and that'll be coming in fall 2022 once folks have submitted their participation forms for the 2021-22 school year, and we've had time to publish that data. The requirements for each recognition, a link to the participation form, again, that's coming soon, and information about the state seal of biliteracy. This recorded webinar and the webinar slides will be posted on this webpage soon. So I'm going to quickly pull up that webpage for you and just show you what you can find there. So as you can see, we've got the overview tab, which just provides an overview of the program, information on equity, and then links to the criteria for each of the 3 recognitions. If you click these, it takes you to a full criteria and what would be the requirements for that particular recognition. Again, you can customize these requirements as needed. Under the resources tab, we have FAQs. some links to some key CDE web pages, and then partner resources as well that can be helpful. This will be added to as we go forward. We're going to have more things posted here soon. Participating LEAs, that will be coming fall 2022, once folks have submitted their forms, and we'll know who participated, and we can share that data with all of you. The requirements and forms, this is where you will find the link to the form to submit to get access to the certificates and to ensure you are included in the participating LEA data. The procedures are here. This lets you know what information is required for the form so you can prepare in advance. And again, links to all the requirements for each of the recognitions. And then this just gives a little overview of the State Seal of Biliteracy, so that we can link to that State Seal of Biliteracy webpage as well for more information. Finally, we have some additional time for any questions and answers before we close. Again, please use the chat or Q&A to ask any questions regarding the Biliteracy Pathway Recognitions Program. And questions not addressed today will be collected and responses will be posted as part of the frequently asked questions available on the CDE Biliteracy Pathway Recognitions webpage at https://www.cde.ca.gov/el/er/BLIT overview.asp. And let me just pull up
Gina, questions are right around the 10:40 mark. You'll start seeing them appear in the chat and then the Q&A.
Thank you so much. Should we plan on beginning awards this year? That is entirely up to you. If you are able to begin this year, that would be fantastic. We would love to see participation this year, but this next year works too. If this is, I know LEAs are very overloaded right now and it's a busy time. So if it's not possible to do it this year, starting next year works too. You could also start with one of the recognitions and then slowly build your program. It's entirely up to you how you want to roll that out. Could COEs coordinate this on behalf of LEAs? Absolutely. So we do have some COEs who assist in the State Seal of Biliteracy process. It would be very similar. So you could look over this criteria and say, okay, these are the ones that would work for our schools and districts. These are the ones we're going to offer, and then help coordinate the data collection and submitting the forms, printing the certificates and bringing those to LEAs. That would, I'm sure, be very helpful to LEAs. When is the earliest these can be awarded? They can be awarded at any time. I think probably most programs will choose to award them in the spring when students are promoting. But again, you could have a ceremony at any time once the form is live. And again, that should be by the end of November. Award given once, example in kindergarten, or should it be awarded at the end of each grade level? That is entirely up to you. So you would want to look at these and decide how you want to structure your program. It could be at key educational segments throughout. So for example, you could award at kinder and then at third and then at fifth or eighth. You kind of think about one of those segments when it would be good to encourage students to pursue and to continue on the path. Every program is really different, and you'd want to think about what worked best for your program. You could, again, award it annually every year if you wanted to. That is entirely up to you. Excuse me. Could County Office of Education, I read that one. Can private schools participate in this program? Yes, because this is not part of California Education Code or our dashboard. It does not preclude the participation of private schools. They absolutely may participate. The ones that have a CASP option, of course, that would not work for the private school, but they could select one of the other options for demonstrating English proficiency for those awards. Is the program participation award intended to be awarded to students each year? Again, your local decision how you would like to structure that. If we participate, do we need to participate in all? No, you could select one or more of these recognitions, or you could have just your own local recognition. You do not need to participate in all of these recognitions. Will CDE keep track of the criteria from different LEAs? No, we will not keep track of your criteria. That is your local decision how you want to structure it. What we will keep track of is just how many students participated and which recognitions or recognition you are offering. And that will be published annually just so we can see how we're growing as a state in terms of celebrating multilingualism. I'm going to pull up the chat as well and see if there's anything I missed here. If the LEA does not have the biliteracy / bilingual program, would the home language development recognition be a good one to start with? Absolutely. Yes, that is a great one to start with because it could be awarded to any students for continuing to pursue home language. And that could be any program model, including structured English immersion. If we want to use the CASP results for the biliteracy attainment recognition, we won't have grade 6 results until after our promotion ceremonies. Should we use grade 5 results? You can use any grade level results to do that, or you can go ahead and award for students who you think are on track to get that, and then just verify once you do get your results. They can be awarded after the fact as well. However you would like to structure that is fine. Can you please share the email address again to receive emails from your department? Yes, I think Lori could pop that in the chat for you. That is the listserv subscription. Absolutely. If your district already has a recognition program, would a district also need to participate in the CDE's program? No, not necessarily. You could also just submit a form saying you're providing a local recognition and then still be included in our data. So we are happy to include you for providing your local recognition. You do not need to use one of these 3 to be included. Any biliteracy pathway recognition can be part of this program. Fall 2021 is the deadline, is the question. There is no deadline. You can participate at any time starting once the form is live in November, all the way through July of 2022. For this school year. And then we just close the form just so we have time to pull the data and publish it, and then we'll reopen it for the next school year. In the past, the criteria for pathways in elementary was reading a book in English and another book in another language, along with submitting 2 pieces of writing, each in 1 or 2 languages. Could you please explain the shift to this new criteria? I believe that criteria must have been local criteria because this is the first time the state has had any biliteracy pathway recognition. So again, you are welcome to continue to use your local criteria and we can recognize you for that and publish you as part of our data. Or if you would like to adjust and use this criteria, you're also welcome to do that. That is your local decision. And let's see if there's any new ones that I did not get here. Will there be some expectation for proficiency in another language? Yes, to earn these recognitions, you need to demonstrate proficiency in English and 1 or more language in addition to English. Feel free to review the criteria and then feel free to customize it to fit your needs. Will there be another opportunity to attend this meeting at a later date? We are going to post this this webinar recorded, and you're welcome to review it at a later date. Absolutely. SSB requires proficiency in another language, but the attainment criteria did not mention proficiency in another language. It does mention proficiency in 2 languages, so English and 1 or more languages in addition to English. If you go to the materials for today's meeting or to the Biliteracy Pathway webpage, you can review the criteria. There is attainment criteria for both languages, English and 1 or more language in addition to English. Okay, I think that has covered all of the questions I am seeing in the chat. I'm going to pull up the Q&A again and just see if anything new came in that we did not address. July 1st or July 31st? July 31st, so the end of the month, it'd be the cutoff, and then starting August 1st, we would be moving on to the next school year's form. Will CD keep track of the criteria? We already got that one. Can students double dip awards? For example, can a student earn some heritage certificate as well as participation in DLI? Yes, absolutely. Some students might earn all 3 recognitions, which would be very impressive and very cool. And you can absolutely award multiple.
Gina, there was a new question that popped into the chat.
If you have a dual immersion program that is 90-10 model, does the English play a role in the certificate? Great question. So this would be a moment to customize the criteria to fit your program model. So obviously for students who are enrolled in a 90-10 model, at the earlier grade levels, the English proficiency would not be a relevant piece of that. So you would want to adjust the criteria to ensure that it meets your program model, and you're welcome to do that. We celebrate that.
And another in the Q&A.
All right. Does the first option also require demonstration of proficiency or only participation? I think you said only participation. Yes, the first one, the Biliteracy program participation recognition is only participation. So any student enrolled in that program is going to go ahead and earn that recognition. So the only one that's based on proficiency is the attainment recognition. The home language is based on effort. So spending time working on the home language. And then I see a request to put the link for the materials again. I'm sure that Lori can pop that in the chat for you. Absolutely. Thank you. Perfect. All right. So I think that covers the questions. So I do want to provide contact information. So for questions regarding the Biliteracy Pathway Recognition Program, please contact the CDE Multilingual Support Division, and the phone number is 916-319-0938. Or you can also contact us by email at seal@cde.ca.gov. And I'm including the general line here because I will be going on maternity leave starting after Thanksgiving. So I will not be available personally to answer questions, but we have other people who will be. If you contact us before then, it would be me who responds to those questions. So this concludes our webinar today. Thank you again to Sarah Neville Morgan and Alicia Moreno Ramirez for their opening remarks. And thank you all for helping to build a pathway to biliteracy for California's multilingual learners and supporting statewide efforts to actualize the English Learner Roadmap policy. We appreciate you all, and we appreciate all that you do. Thank you so much. I saw a quick question about the PowerPoint. It is available with materials for today's meeting in PDF form.